Welcome on the Pure Wisdom ones. Let's get genuine. This is not for everyone. Not everyone is made for this, and not everyone is prepared to hear it. But if something within you stirs as you read these words, if you feel an unmistakable draw, you already know. You aren't like the others. You were not created to blend in, to shrink or follow the script. They put everything out for you. You are disruptive. You shift. You rise. Your energy moves across unknown regions, bending reality in ways most people can never understand. The world sleeps, unaware, while whole systems are obliged to watch your natural behavior. Why? Because they understand who you are. They are afraid of things beyond their control. They investigate what they cannot imitate. They are watching because you are the outlier. This is a confirmation. This is your awakening. If you feel it, own it. You've come here on purpose. Your procedure has already progressed. So, the real question is, are you ready to dive in? Of all the factors that influence the fabric of life, some are made to stand out, lighting up routes that conventional eyes cannot see. This presence is not a coincidence nor a temporary illusion. It is the echo of something immovable, a mark of purpose stitched into the very fabric of existence. There is no need to seek affirmation from the world. The brilliance conveyed is not a copy of exterior light, but rather a direct reflection of an inner core carved with purpose. What emerges is not an accessory to identity, but a powerful force, a tribute to an invisible direction that challenges the monotony of the routine. Existence embodied is not passive. Influences are disrupted and redefined. Such splendor is not a decoration, but rather a garment of importance. A clue that the function performed in this massive design is anything than accidental. There are those who go through life unrecognized. Then there are some whose presence alters the atmosphere itself. Leave a remark claiming I am the oddity. If the energy inside bends perceptions and shakes hard reality assumptions when faced, it does more than just leave an imprint. It challenges preconceptions, dismantles limits, and demands recognition. Such energy is not accidental. It is a gravitational force that defies expectations. To carry this type of presence, a force not designed to fit into pre-written tales must have a weight that is not a burden, but rather a heritage of purpose. It doesn't want attention. It demands attention just by being there. Some people will revere it. Some will oppose it. Others will try to reject it entirely. Its suppression is impossible. No barrier, blindness, or purposeful ignorance can erase what is perceived beyond the apparent register of the senses. More sophisticated than logic can measure, control feeds on predictability, and when something refuses to be categorized, it becomes an object of fascination. The invisible processes that detect departures from the norm have long taken note. Systems meant to classify, contain, and understand find themselves at a loss when presented with anything outside their calculations. Observation stems not from curiosity, but from a need to impose order on what is immune to restraint. Data is gathered. Algorithms were recalibrated. However, the essence they strive to identify is beyond their reach. The response is based on anxiety, since everything that cannot be controlled challenges the fragile illusion of dominance. There is no reason for fear, nor is there any need for permission. Those that have this presence do not seek to exist. They just do, unyielding and unchanging. If your heart is overflowing with God's blessings, now is the moment to express that love by clicking the super thank you button and donating $20 or more. You are not just supporting this platform. You are sowing seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your giving reflects God's wealth, a gift that goes beyond what you can perceive. Step into your mission. Be a receptacle for His grace. Give with trust. and see his kingdom grow through you. You were designed to achieve more over time. Individuals have developed whose mere existence challenges the mechanisms designed to govern reality. Their existence was not only recognized, but seen as a disruption, an unexpected element that drove whole institutions to confront facts they tried to conceal. Those in positions of authority, motivated by a desire to keep control, attempted to decode, contain, or eradicate these mysterious energies. They weren't ordinary. They also did not conform to prescribed roles. They fundamentally altered the rules that control human vision. Some slipped via secret tunnels, breaching strong obstacles undetected. Others, propelled by an unyielding inner command, remained unshaken despite repeated efforts to quiet them. Even individuals who merely sought truth beyond the bounds of tradition became targets of examination. Their presence is precisely monitored. These figures were more than just topics of curiosity. There were variables that couldn't be computed, energies that beyond the limits of any enforced framework. What they represented could not be extinguished, outlasting the powers that attempted to dim their light. Some entities glide undetected, merging perfectly into the fabric of existence, while others exude an irrefutable power that bends the very essence of reality around them. Leave a remark claiming I am the oddity. When your essence is experienced, it bends perceptions and cracks fixed forms of expectation, indicating that it is more than a fleeting occurrence. It reshapes beliefs, tests the immovable, and compels realization. Such an energy is not seeking permission to exist. It expresses itself without apologies. It is a force that disturbs stagnation, an unstoppable river against which resistance is fruitless. Some people will be attracted to it with respect. Others will try to resist it. Some would even go so far as to deny its existence altogether. But denial is worthless, no matter how hard you try to ignore it. The impact leaves a mark imprinted beyond the physical, intractable to simple observation. This is your opportunity to shine. Subscribe now, and let's make it memorable. Authorities believe that everything can be classified, monitored, and controlled. However, when presented with anything that refuses to comply, their attention sharpens quiet networks of monitoring meant to filter through the anticipated and find deviations, and their focus shifts to that which defies prediction. They study patterns, collect data, and look for explanations that match their paradigm. However, what they encounter defies categorization. Observation is not the same as curiosity. It is a response to disquiet, an effort to place restrictions on something that refuses to be contained. The systems that observe may assume they are gaining knowledge. However, what they genuinely discover is their own limitations. There is nothing to fear, but also nothing to give up. The presence in question does not need validation to persist. It simply goes beyond bounds, control, and reach. For we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. There is a fight going on, but it does not include swords or troops. It's not a conflict you see on the news, and you can't fight it with your hands. This is a fight of dominance. There is a fight for influence, a fight for control over the fundamental core of truth. And whether you know it or not, you're in the thick of it. Imagine a lighthouse in the midst of a storm. The wind howls, the waves smash, and the sky is filled with blackness. But the lighthouse, it stands solid. It does not flee from the storm. It slices through it. That's you. You do not blend in. You do not fade into the background. Your simple presence sends a signal that disturbs the pandemonium, forcing those who work in the shadows to pay attention. Make no mistake, they are watching. They've always existed. Consider the world systems, which are based on control and repression. They are not frightened of ideas. They are terrified of the presence. They are unconcerned with views. They're concerned about power. And when you step in, the reality of who you are aligned with the energy that made you, you disturb the very basis of the illusion they've constructed. This is not just about what you do. This does not concern what you say, write, or believe. It is about who you are. Let me tell you something. When you are picked, you will not go ignored. The adversary marked you from the time you entered this planet, when you aligned with someone bigger. They do not pursue those who are lost. They target those who cause disruption, those who refuse to bow, those who refuse to simply accept the script that has been presented to them. But redo the whole story. You were not created for complacency. You weren't meant to travel blind in a world that desperately wants to keep you asleep. That is why you feel it. Resistance, solitude, and the world's seeming pushback. Every time you get near to anything genuine. Because you, my friend, are not a part of their well-planned system. You don't fit their template and never will. That is why they are watching you. That is why they are studying you. And that is why they cannot stop you. Let them watch. Let them ponder. Allow them to make sense of what can't be contained. Others, however, are motivated to defy repression because they are aligned with an unstoppable force. There is a network that is not based on artificial connections, but rather on an indestructible resonance that spans time and place. Efforts to quiet, limit, or dominate persons who resonate with this frequency are certain to fail, not because resistance is waged conventionally, but because the basis of their existence is inaccessible. Leave a remark claiming, "I broke their web." If the structures created to contain you are helpless against the force that flows through you, any efforts to destroy it would just magnify it, increasing its reach and depth of impression. This conflict is not being waged alone, and no power attempting to contain it will ever succeed. Presence alone adjusts the balance, fighting back against the shadows that try to intrude. Not by chance, but by design. This light lives not as a delicate flicker, but as a steadfast beacon against the advancing wave. Don't simply watch. Take part in the transformation. Subscribe today, and we'll make it happen. What radiates forth is more than just a byproduct of existence. It is proof of something greater, a link between the visible and invisible worlds. These waves, or signatures, are not relics of normal biological activity. They are messages encoded with intent, moving in patterns that defy ordinary comprehension. The equipment designed to examine the physical world detects an aberration that it cannot categorize. Sensors capture oscillations that contradict accepted logic, collecting patterns but unable to comprehend them. Heat signatures appear when none should exist. Signals travel against known frequencies, avoiding explanation. The effort to classify this presence fails not because of a lack of complexity, but because the tools used to measure the finite cannot fathom the infinite. The attempts to decipher, analyze, and transform this force into something concrete are worthless since what is sought is not constrained by their equations. What is born is not an anomaly, but a message, an inscription that cannot be erased. A presence that neither fades nor conforms to imposed constraints. The instruments of the world may discover its shape, but they will never penetrate its core. The route has already begun, and indecision has no power here. The time for emergence has come, when the body attains stillness. The essence is still in motion, sliding beyond the limitations of the physical and traversing worlds. Access most of these secret passages. Movement is unrestrained, and the objective is carried out precisely. Existence is not limited to a single plane, but is intertwined with currents that transcend conventional reality. These excursions cause problems in systems designed to map just the tangible world. Surveillance systems record energy swings. They are unable to explain why activity is registered in the absence of presence. Sensors detect waves without a known source, disruptions that threaten their tight sense of order. The evidence is apparent yet indecipherable. What is being sought is not a scientific oddity, but rather a phenomena beyond their understanding. The hunt for solutions simply raises new questions since the framework on which they depend is incapable of digesting what goes outside of their boundaries and beyond their control. Nonetheless, this force is constant and unrestricted. It passes across invisible boundaries, affecting reality in ways no equipment can detect. Those who maintain this presence are neither tied nor owned, and they live outside the scope of worldly law. This is not a voluntary position. It is a task that is built into the very fabric of existence. To be significant is to be subjected to constant scrutiny by systems, unable to reconcile what is beyond their control. Their unease comes not from rationality, but from an underlying knowledge that something larger exists beyond their control. Leave a remark claiming, "I broke their web." If imprisonment is an illusion, you've already defeated the opponent. Resistance and unsuccessful efforts to repress are indications of importance rather than signals of restriction. What existing cannot be removed. It cannot be absorbed into their planned framework. It's a force that changes the whole landscape of existence, shifting what was previously assumed to be immovable. What emits forth is more than just energy. It is an assertion of existence, leaving an impression on both visible and secret domains. The frequencies used are not accidental. They are purposeful broadcasts that follow patterns outside the scope of ordinary interpretation. When faced with signals that refuse to be classified, the technology created to map the physical world fails. The data they collect just confirms their own limits. Numbers cannot quantify what is beyond measure, and equations can never define the infinite. The search of understanding is useless, for their tools are designed to investigate what is limited, but the force they seek to understand is unconstrained by time or loss. What is carried is not designed to be concealed, and it cannot be confined. The world's eyes may strive to pinpoint it, but their attempts will always fail. The signal will be unclaimed, unbroken, and beyond their grasp. Make the jump, subscribe today, and let's work together to achieve greatness. There is a presence that cannot be ignored, a force that disturbs people who cannot understand its origin. It does not mix in with the everyday. It does not seek confirmation from the systems that monitor it. Attention is not attracted randomly. It is commanded by an essence that cannot be replicated. The examination faced is not random nor motivated by sheer curiosity. It is a deliberate endeavor to appraise, contain, and neutralize something beyond their control. What is feared is not understood, and what cannot be controlled is classified as an oddity. The weight of this knowledge might act as an unseen load, preventing mobility. Despite this pressure, incontrovertible proof exists. What lacks force is not pursued. The intensity of the attentive stare does not indicate weakness, but rather demonstrates the grandeur of what is born. Adversity is the crucible, the merciless furnace in which endurance and tenacity are tested. Hardship does not reduce, but rather sharpens, transforming raw essence into something unshakable. The forces attempting to control and repress are in reality perfecting what they wish to destroy. Their incapacity to understand is their most significant restriction, while the capacity to endure is their greatest strength. The more they observe, the more they realize what they cannot hold. The pursuit is not evidence of weakness. It provides confirmation of importance. No system spends resources monitoring what is irrelevant. There is no victim here, simply a force that is advancing beyond the grasp of those who try to stop it. Suppression fails not due to a lack of effort, but because the resistance exceeds their means of control. The terrain of existence is not a neutral ground. It is the junction of invisible forces vying for supremacy. Every choice, movement, and action has far-reaching consequences, shifting the balance of forces that form reality itself. One side aims to amplify, align, and elevate. The other attempts to deform, exhaust, and disturb. Every problem we confront is not a coincidence. It is the product of a hidden war in which influence is the ultimate goal. The opposition experienced is not indicative of insignificance. It is evidence of impact. Attacks are not random acts of luck, but rather deliberate interruptions designed to undermine murmurs of doubt. The persistent pushback, the unrelenting inspection. All of this is proof of an invisible conflict, a battle against forces that aim to reduce what cannot be reversed. Attempts to shatter what is unyielding will fail, for what is born was never delicate in the first place. The antagonism is not a result of mistake, but rather a symbol of significance. The struggle does not indicate failure. It represents position. The weight sustained is not random. It is a deliberate enhancement. Strength is not a given. It was forged, battle-tested via the same impediments designed to stifle it. The quantity of opposition reflects the size of intent. Those who stand in the middle of it are not doing so by chance, nor are they rocked by the power of resistance. This isn't punishment. This is confirmation. What is unfolding is not the shattering of a will, but rather the confirmation of an unshakable foundation. The journey was never intended to be without strife. It was intended to be unmistakable. As the body slows, the essence wakes, engaging with invisible forces, altering the fundamental fabric of reality in ways that beyond conventional explanation. This is not just relaxation. It is the synchronization of existence with a complex, multidimensional design. These interactions are neither random or passive. They are intentional, an unfolding of an ancient design contained within the existence of this event attracts the attention of those who strive to quantify the undetectable, equipped with instruments incapable of understanding the entire breadth of what occurs. Their measurements identify aberrations, distortions in predicted patterns, and movements when stillness should exist. Fields vary. Energy bends in ways that go against the known principles of its discipline. These abnormalities are not mistakes. They are signs of something beyond their grasp, indications of an external link. What passes through is unconstrained by material restrictions. It aligns the known with the limitless. The fabric of existence is not split into the visible and hidden. It is linked and interdependent, a constant movement of forces that transcend description. This presence and contact are not accidental. It is proof of a design that brings together what others divide. Some perceive disorder as an underlying architecture that contains contradictions. There is peace beyond their reach. Existence is not limited to equations or ideologies. It is both known and unknown, visible and hidden, defined and unlimited. This presence is not a spectator to the proceedings. It represents the manifestation of a link between what they call belief and what they call actuality. What appears isn't only an effect. It's a declaration, an affirmation that the lines they've drawn are illusions. There is no separation. There is only integration. What they try to dissect and dismantle will never fit into their equations. The energy flows unrestrained and undeniably. This presence was never intended to withdraw, fade into the background, or succumb to the weight of examination. It exists to grow, to shatter stagnation, and to realign what has strayed from its origins. The weight of observation is no cause to retreat. It demonstrates the enormity of what is conveyed. Those who want to watch, comprehend, or restrain do, so not out of apathy, but because they sense something beyond their control. That curiosity is not innocuous. It is an effort to classify what refuses to be defined, yet to allow doubt or ambiguity to break this link would be to give in to the same forces that strive to unravel it. There is no seclusion on this route. Others are moving with the same stream, conveying the same resonance and serving the same goal. They are dispersed but connected, hidden yet ever present. The attraction to them is not coincidental. It is the unmistakable appeal of a power that was never intended to exist alone. There is no weight in carrying what was designed to flow freely. This presence, this obvious energy, was never intended to be confined or diminished. Existing fully is not an act of pride, but rather a reaction to an innate calling, a fulfillment of an implicit command built into the very fabric of existence. The world does not demand absence. It necessitates the power of what is conveyed. Moving ahead without hesitation is about alignment, the convergence of purpose and presence, rather than visibility. It causes everything it comes in contact with to change. The examination sustained is not a sign of vulnerability, but of strength. Observation is not geared at insignificance. It focuses on what threatens to disrupt the existing order. Those who observe may not understand the complexities of what they see, yet recognition exists. Regardless, their anxiety stems from something other than bewilderment. It is a tacit acknowledgement of something beyond our control. This route does not provide comfort or ease. It requires tenacity, a firm conviction in the face of unwavering opposition. The force conveyed does not just exist. It is unsettling. It reawakens. It drives change where stagnation formerly existed. Opposition stems not from inaccuracy, but from a fear of change. Systems that rely on constraints and enforced quiet to function quake in the face of anything that refuses to comply. This force is not accidental. It was put with the goal of challenging, revealing, and dismantling what had gone uncontested for far too long. Retreating would be to repudiate the basic purpose for existing. Attention was never intended to be avoided. This presence cannot be disguised. It was intended to spread influence, to put in action what could not be reversed, whether faced with adoration or opposition. The response is unimportant. The influence endures. The route chosen is no coincidence. The obstacles are not installed along the road, just hurdles. They are testing, refining moments designed to cement what has already been written. The resonance, disturbance, and attention garnered are not burdens, but rather affirmations. Every movement breaks the illusion. Every presence alters perception. What is carried has both destructive and creative power, taking down what has long been supported. However, something much larger is being rebuilt in its stead. Existence bends around this energy. The fight, even while wordless, does not imply failure. It represents the level of impact. The path onward demands neither permission nor approbation. It just needs the assurance that what has been put in motion cannot be reversed. The way ahead calls for activity, unflinching expression, rather than retreat or hesitation. Each step is an assertion, a declaration about what cannot be erased. Those who share this resonance are not dispersed, but rather intertwined, woven into a pattern that goes beyond any one tale. The voice should not falter. Every utterance is a pulse in the larger beat, a vibration in the collective movement that cannot be ignored.